All right, hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. The Best Loser here once again. And in today's video, obviously, we're going to be taking a look at the weekly forex forecast for the upcoming week. As usual, we're going to be kicking things off by taking a look at the economical calendar from Forex Factory to see the high impact news that we have on the calendar for the upcoming week. So without any further delays, let's take a look at the economical calendar. All right, so as you can see here, you can see that we have quite a few bank holidays, okay, as we go into next week. Right here on Sunday, we do have the bank holiday in China. We do have ECB president speaking. All right, so obviously I don't trade on Sundays, but then on Monday we do have Canadian bank holidays, US bank holidays, and Chinese bank holidays. So that is one to definitely keep an eye on. Okay, we do have bank holidays on Monday, and then on Tuesday, what do we have here? Well, we do have the claimants count change coming up from the British axis. All right, 2 a.m. Eastern. That's a high impact news on the calendar. And then later in the day, we do have the CPI data coming out from the Canadian axis. Okay, this is obviously one to keep an eye on if you are trading any Canadian dollar pairs next week. All right, and then later in the day, we do have the interest rate release coming out from the New Zealand axis. Okay, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, and then the press conference obviously at 9 p.m. Eastern. We are not expecting any changes. As you can see here, we're expecting things to stay at 2.25%. But again, who knows? There could be surprises in the markets, and that can create significant volatility in the New Zealand dollar pairs. For now, I would say the CPI data coming out from the Canadian axis. I usually am not trading around 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, that is when I am away from my trading desk, unless it's probably like a higher time frame trade. But for intradays, I am done by that particular time. Now, taking a look on Wednesday, we do have the CPI data coming out from the British axis, as you can see here. Let me see. Yes, CPI data coming from the British axis, and also we do have FOMC minutes. Okay, FOMC minutes coming out from the United States axis, 2 p.m. Eastern. So that is one to definitely keep an eye on as we go into next week. Okay, obviously we do have unemployment and employment change data coming out from the Australian axis, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So we do have some high impact news on the calendar. That's pretty much what I'm seeing right now. On Thursday, we have unemployment claims as well coming out from the United States axis, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. And then obviously we do have our PMI Fridays, okay, what I call the PMI Fridays. It's almost like we have the PMIs coming out from literally all parts of the world, so to speak. Okay, you can see we do have obviously retail sales from the British axis, and then all the PMIs, you can see it's all PMIs, and also here we have the PMI coming from the United States axis as well. So this is one to definitely keep in mind, okay, as we go into next week. Okay, this can usually mess up your charts. That's the way that I want to put it. Okay, you can have the French PMI come out bearish for the euro, and only for an hour later the German PMI comes out completely bullish. So things can really move in a very, very will I say unpredictable manner when it comes to this PMI. So be very, very careful as you trade on Fridays, especially the the euro pairs. Okay, all right, so that's pretty much it from the economical perspective. We do have some high impact news, so that means that most likely we're going to have some volatility in the markets for next week. Okay, all right, for myself personally, I have not really traded, maybe even let's say the past 2 weeks, to be honest. I have not really traded. It's been busy, my full-time responsibility, so I have just been focusing on that for now. But I think from next week I should be able to again take a look at the charts. Okay, starting next week. So as usual, we're going to be kicking things off with Dixie. Now, what do we have here from Dixie? Well, from what we can see here, Dixie, again, obviously we took off these lows as we identified in the previous week, but now you can see that we are not getting that quick bullish move, okay, in this particular pair. The market's still looking as if we are kind of hesitating around those lows that we have in this particular price area. Okay, so yes, pin bar, but again the market is pretty much in the middle of nowhere, in all honesty. At this point we're in a downtrend, but we're printing a bullish pin bar. So again, that is almost like we have to wait, okay, for the markets to show us what it wants to do at this particular point. Okay, so let's see. not much here. Obviously, we do have this particular area, and remember last week I told you guys that one possibility for this particular market is a potential tap into this particular area, because as I told you guys, this is a supply zone here, and you can see this market breach that supply zone, also giving us a fill up, okay, complete fill up of this particular gap. That takes a significant amount of buying pressure to achieve, and you can see that's a momentum push right here in 2 days candles, and you can see obviously probably we still have some orders sitting in here, and you can see how the market upon pullback into this particular area, you can see the reaction that we are getting from that particular area. So now the question is, well, are we going to continue to the upside from here, or is the market going to maybe hesitate around here a little bit before giving us a continuation to the downside? Well, truth is, only time will tell. Again, that is probably the reason why sometimes it's good for you to be patient, sit on your hands, and wait for the markets to show you what it has in mind. Okay, but for right now, honestly speaking, your guess is as good as mine. We're in the middle of nowhere. Maybe if the market begins to take off these levels, the only problem with that is that as soon as we begin to take off those levels, price is going to be running into these particular supply zones, and the markets can easily again give us another dive to the downside. Okay, so in all honesty, the clear green lights that for the bulls to be in this market, so take charge in this market, is going to be a clear break above this particular level right here. All right, because this is where the selling started, to give us this push to the upside. So if the bulls are to lay any claim in these markets, then chances are they will need to give us a clear push above this particular level. Once that happens, that's green light, in my own opinion, that the bulls are back in this market, and then anywhere from right around here, we start searching for long opportunities for further continuations to the upside. Okay, that is going to be the clear green light. Okay, now for the bears to take charge of this market, in my own opinion, we will need to make a new low below these particular levels here. Okay, so the markets will need to give us a clear break of these particular levels, and then from here, well, again, we start searching for the markets to give us, let's say a break of that level, and then upon pullbacks, obviously, we'll start looking for supply zones that form in these markets, for further continuations to the downside. That is going to be pretty much what I can see, from the charts right now. But as for where the market is right now, we are pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and this being the daily charts, who knows how long we are going to be staying, in between this high and this low that we have in this area. Okay, but again, a break of this level, that might be some green lights to start searching for long opportunities. But in my own opinion, again, you have to be very, very cautious, because again, we do have this particular area in here, and the markets can just start diving again to the downside. All right, so that is something to keep in mind in the dollar index. Now, next up is going to be Euro US dollar. Now, for Euro US dollar, it's almost the opposite of the DXY. You can see obviously we do have again uptrend, but then we have a bearish pin bar, right? And right now the market is pretty much in the middle of nowhere, just as in the case of DXY. If I go into the weekly, the daily time frame, this was a supply zone or a demand zone that I was actually keeping an eye on last week, anticipating that the markets will most likely maybe give us a push in here before we get this bullish reaction. Okay, however, as you can see here, the markets just pretty much gave us a break to the upside. And the second scenario that I had presented to you guys is that well, the markets can give us a break of this particular level, and that would be a key area of interest. And you can see after that break, the markets gave us a pullback towards that particular level, and from there the markets has kind of remained above that particular level. So who knows? All right, few courses of action in my own opinion. Very, very possible that the market gives us maybe a push to the downside into these particular levels. Okay, 117.50 institutional level being a key one. Maybe to just grab liquidity below these lows, and then from here, who knows, the bulls can come into this market, okay, for further continuation to the upside. Okay, that is one possibility that I can see. Another possibility is going to be maybe for the markets to give us a break above this particular level. Okay, once we begin to break this level, then chances are that maybe upon pullback, I'll start looking for demand zones, okay, that form on this chart for further continuations to the upside. Okay, that is actually going to be my preferred course of action, because again, we are pretty much in an uptrend, as you can see here. So a break to the upside will be a confirmation confirmation that, you know, chances are that the bulls are now coming into this market for potential continuation to the upside. Okay, obviously I don't like the fact that this market did not dip into this particular demand zone. It would have been nice to see this market make it into this particular demand zone before, you know, we see this move. But all in all, if the market didn't get there, all we have to do is just you know, follow the markets and flow the markets. Okay, so let's see. But for right now, as per where the market is right now, there's not much I can say. We're pretty much in the middle of nowhere, so we need to see at least a break of this particular level, or even a break below this particular level, because a break below this particular level, we're going to be running into this particular demand zone areas, and then from here, you know, the bulls can start coming back into these markets. Okay, or a break above this level, then from here I start searching for demand zones as well for further continuations to the upside. That is pretty much my game plan for euro dollar as we go into next week. Okay, again, as usual, I'm going to be keeping you guys posted in the Discord channel. Okay, in the event that I take any trade. Like I said, it's been very quiet in my Discord for the past, let's say, 1-2 weeks, and that is because honestly I've not really traded in the past 1 or 2 weeks, you know. All right, so that's why I have not posted anything on there. Okay, but again, like I said, I'm going to become more active. You know, I think you know, things are quite in control right now in my full-time responsibility, so chances are that you know, I'm going to start paying more attention to the charts, and that will come with most likely, let's say, who knows, more trading opportunities. Okay, so let's see how that goes. That's pretty much it for euro US dollar. Next up is going to be British pounds and US dollar. Again, very similar to euro dollar. Again, we have this uptrend, okay, because again the markets took off these highs and now we've made a higher high. All right, and right now we closed that week with a pin bar, and we are pretty much in the middle of nowhere again in this case. Okay, and very similar to euro dollar. Again, we do have this demand zone in here that in the market didn't quite tap. Okay, obviously there is a bigger demand in here, but again, this is from a bigger time frame. Okay, but as far as this particular time frame is concerned, this is the demand zone, and the markets fell shy of that demand zone, as you can see here. So the question now is the market going to still find a way to get back in here before we get that push to the upside? Okay, I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. All right, I don't know, to be honest. Or will the markets give us a push to the upside to complete maybe this push before, you know, making a decision whether to break this high or whether to start diving back to the downside? All right, again, only time will tell. But again, this is the demand that we have in this particular area. For me personally, as we go into next week, I'm going to personally be keeping an eye on, you know, this particular area that we have around here. Okay, because again, as you can see, the markets started dropping. We had this particular area right here. Okay, and the markets tapped in, made a new low, and right now we've tapped into this case here, and the market is pretty much ranging. So a key level on my charts right now is going to be this particular area that we have right here. Okay, so if this market is to open next week and we see a push to the upside, taking off these particular highs that we have in this area, that is an indication that the bulls are coming into this market. And if any demand zones form in these charts, I'll be looking for opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside. Okay, just like in the case of euro US dollar. Now, in the event that that does not happen, and then let's say the market begins to rotate to the downside, then chances are, you know, we might be making it back towards, let's say, 134.50 area. Okay, into this particular demand zone area, and then from right around here, any reversals, I'll be looking for opportunities to go long for further continuations to the upside. All right, that's pretty much it for British pounds and US dollar. Next up is going to be New Zealand dollar, US dollar. In all honesty, not much in this pair. The market has been in an uptrend, as you can see. This is the 4 hours time frame, but again, we have this area right here. Okay, it's almost like this market is now in some form of consolidation, most likely going to end up maybe like a triangular consolidation. Okay, maybe something of this nature. And well, if that is the case, all I'm waiting for right now is, well, for the markets to maybe, who knows if this is going to be where it ends. But again, you get the idea. A break above these particular levels that I have here. And then obviously that will be a break away from this particular consolidation. And then obviously upon any pullbacks, any demand zones that form, I'll be looking for opportunities to go long for further continuations to the upside. Okay, that is pretty much what I can see right now in New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Next up is going to be Australian dollar, US dollar. Now, for Australian dollar, US dollar, very similar to the case of New Zealand dollar, US dollar. However, like I told you guys last last week, the Aussie continues to be the stronger one. And you can see in this case, we have taken out the previous swing high. The market's made a new high, but right now, we're getting some form of a pullback, okay? Who knows? Are we going to turn around from here to continue to the upside? It's very, very possible. Or will the market maybe find a way to give us a dip into this particular demand zone area that we have here, okay, that led to the break of this level? Now, that's just open for interpretation. The market has now printed, let's say pretty much 3 pin bars, okay, in the 4 hours time frame. So we are really bottoming out in this area, and I would not be surprised if the bulls come in early next week to start pushing this to the upside, okay? Or if we do take off these lows, and then the market begins to turn around, probably with another pin bar, then that's going to be, a very key area, in my own opinion, such that once we begin to take off this area, okay, to the upside, let's say we get a move of this nature, then, this area will be a very key area of, support now, such that any pullbacks will be a high quality for further continuations to the upside, okay? That is what I can see right now in Australian dollar, US dollar. Now, going into the next pair, US dollar, Canadian dollar, to be honest with you, not much in this pair. We actually did get that push last week. One second. We got that push last week into this supply zone area that led to the break of this level of structure. You can see the market has reacted. But again, we have not made a new low, and the market is pulling back right now. The question now is, obviously, looking at the trend, we're obviously in a downtrend. Market is scoring lower highs and lower lows, okay, as we can see here. So, well, the most likely thing right now from this particular time frame is probably a potential continuation to the downside. So let's see. But right now, the market is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. We are pretty much consolidating at this point, okay, because the market is not making a new low, neither is it making a new high. So the market is stuck in this particular area. So personally, I would like to see the markets give me a break, either break below, all right, or a break above from here, okay? Then from there we can start looking for opportunities. But again, even a break above here, because we're in a downtrend, you have to be very, very careful, okay? Because we do have, some form of trend in here. We do have this particular interaction in here, okay? The markets can easily give us a reaction off of this for further continuations to the downside, okay? So let's see how it goes. But for right now, based on the price action that I'm seeing, not much can be said. We are pretty much consolidating at this point, and anything I'm doing now is just going to be a guesswork, and I don't want to be guessing right now. All right, okay, so that's it for US dollar, Canadian dollar. Not much. Okay, next up is going to be US dollar, Swiss francs. Now for US dollar, Swiss francs, again, obviously this market is clearly in a downtrend. Okay, as we can see, I was waiting to see if we get a pullback into this particular supply zone last week, but you can see from here the markets just started to collapse. And right now, again, just like in the case of UCAD, we are pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Okay, now few courses of action. Okay, maybe the market opens next week, who knows? If we get a pullback into this area, obviously 1800 area, this area 7950, 1800 is going to be a key level from the bears to start coming into these markets again. So obviously this is what I'm going to be keeping an eye on in the event we get a pullback into that particular area. But again, the market is quite far from that particular level right now, and obviously this is the daily charts, so I'm not going to sit here and start saying that I expect that to happen next week. But based on the price action, obviously I'm going to be keeping an eye on this particular level and also in this particular area that we have here. Okay, so again, market needs to make a decision. We're pretty much in the middle of nowhere right now. Okay, so we either wait for a break below this level or a break above this level. But be careful, bullish breaks, again, in my own opinion, markets upon breaking this level will just be running into this supply area and also into this, pretty much selling origins that we have here, and the markets can easily turn around to the downside from there. All right, so be very, very careful. Personally, I would prefer to see the trend continuation move such that the bears come into these markets and we just continue to push this to the downside. That would be my preferred course of action in US dollar, Swiss francs. Next up is going to be US dollar, Japanese yen. Now for US dollar, Japanese yen, actually all the yen crosses, as I can see, obviously in the monthly, we are still consolidating, okay? The weekly time frame, as you can see, the market is giving us some significant push to the downside now. This week was pretty much a very solid week. You can see the market has dropped now pretty much 500 pips this week. Okay, we opened 157.50. 157.57, and the market is pretty much closing maybe around this area, 152.67. So that is pretty much a 500 pip drop in this week. Okay, so that is key. The bears have come into this market. In my own opinion, now I'm keeping an eye in these origins that we have here. Who knows? Will the market maybe give us maybe a little bounce? Because again, these are all demand areas. Okay, you can see break of structure, break of structure. So markets can easily push to the upside from here, make no mistakes. Okay, but again, I think that might be just enough to give us a retracement before we get maybe even deeper move into this particular origins, maybe keeping an eye 14800, 147.50 area, anywhere from right around here, in my own opinion, would be nice levels to start searching for long opportunities. But again, remember, this is the weekly time frame. If we take a look right now at the daily charts, okay, you notice that this market's pretty much tapped into these particular areas that we have in this area, and from here the bears came into this market and we started dropping to the downside. Okay, question now is we do have demand zones here, because again, like I said, we have to keep an eye, a very close eye in these demand zones, because these are really large zones. I just don't want to draw them out because I know that they are large zones. If we begin to maybe simplify it, this is going to be the zone of interest. Okay, so let me remove this big one, and you can see that the market has already tapped into that zone, but we didn't make a new high, ran into these areas, and from there the bears are now coming into these markets. Now, question now is, are we going to get another push to the upside from here? In my own opinion, maybe from right around this area, the markets might maybe give us another rotation to the downside, okay, into these particular zones that we have here, from where, obviously, because this is where this buying started. Okay, notice how we have a gap in here that has not been filled up. Okay, the markets just opened, and from here, boom, we started pushing to the upside. So the markets can easily find a way to make it back into this particular area to fill this gap in this demand zone area. This area right here is going to be very high quality, in my own opinion, in the US dollar Japanese yen, in the event that, let's say, we are able to get into this particular area right around here. Any reversals from here, in my own opinion, will be a high quality trade for further continuations to the upside. Okay, all right, so that's one I'm going to be keeping an eye on. But again, this is the daily charts. This might take some time to develop. What I would expect to see next week is maybe for the markets to kind of maybe give us another little respect of this particular demand zone, just a push to the upside, and then from right around here, the bears can start coming into these markets for further continuation to the downside. Now, that being said, if we go into the 4 hours time frame, you notice that well, in that particular area, we do have this little hesitation area. We got a quick spike in there, and you can see the bears are protecting that particular level heavily. Okay, right around, let's say, 154.25 area, 35 area as well. So I won't be surprised, okay, next week, if the market is to give us let's say a quick push, okay, to the upside into this particular area, and then from right around here, anywhere from here, maybe the bears can start coming back into this market, to take off these lows and probably start heading towards those demand zones that we have identified and the gap areas. Okay, all right, so that's it for US dollar Japanese yen. Next up is going to be British pound some Japanese yen. Now, British pound Japanese yen, you can see that well, again, just like in the case of UJ, pretty much all the yen crosses gave us that sellout this week, as you can see here. Now, in this case, you can see this market has given us a pullback towards this previous swing high areas. So again, the markets broke that area. We've gotten a pullback. So I won't be surprised if early next week we get some significant bullish move, okay? And from here, maybe the bears coming back again into this particular demand zone. Who knows? But again, we have this demand zone in the weekly right around that 202 level. I don't know if the market is going to get there next week, but again, this is the level that I'm seeing on my charts. We do have small interaction here, so who knows, the markets can easily tap here, come down here, and then from here give us the bullish continuation. That is very, very possible. But in terms of demand, this is where this demand started, and then right now we have this level right here that the market is retesting at this particular moment, and well, I won't be surprised if the bulls come in here early next week to start pushing this thing again to the upside. Okay, now if we take a look at the daily charts, what do we have here? Now, finally, we've broken out of that particular range that we have right here on the daily, the market has given us a break to the downside. But again, as you can see, as we're breaking to the downside, we are also breaking into this particular zone that we have in this area. So again, very easily, the markets can bounce off from this particular area. But what I would personally prefer to see is for the markets to maybe pull back into these buying origins that we have here, and then from here expect the markets to start giving us another rotation to the downside, which might finally and eventually maybe take us into this particular demand zone that we have on the weekly, from where I will expect the bullish markets to start again for further continuations to the upside. Okay, that is pretty much what I would like to see in GJ, okay, in a longer term perspective. Remember, this is the daily charts, okay? So maybe for next week it's going to start off bullish, okay? Who knows, maybe bullish, and then into these particular areas before the bearish move starts again. That is what I would like to see as we go into next week. All right, so that's it for GJ. Let me see if we do have anything in the 4 hours time frame. Not much per se, just previous level of support, probably going to work as resistance upon pullbacks, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so that's it for GJ. Next up is going to be Euro Yen. Now for Euro Yen, what do we have here? Now, in the case of Euro Yen, if we take a look at the weekly, it's still very similar to the GJs. And in this particular case, you can see that the markets right now is sitting inside this particular demand zone area that we have here. Okay, so again, like I said, the markets can easily give us a bullish reaction off of this level. There's nothing preventing that from happening. But again, we also have a demand zone sitting deep in here. So who knows? The market can react off of this particular demand zone early next week, and then maybe from here give us another rotation to go, into these particular areas. I personally am keeping an eye on 17800 institutional price level to see if we're going to get that kind of a dip. But personally, next week I would like to see the bullish reaction before the bears come into these particular markets, towards this particular demand zone that we now have on the weekly charts. Okay, so let's see how that goes. But again, in my own opinion, this is a better level to keep an eye on, in my own opinion. Okay, but nothing prevents the markets from turning around from here, because again, this is a weekly demand zone area. Now, taking a look at the daily charts, what do we have here? Again, in a similar manner, just like in the case of GJ, this market has also finally broken out of its own ranging markets, and the bears are now coming in. But again, as we are breaking out of it, we are running into this particular demand zone on the weekly. So again, like I said, the bulls can come into these markets, give us a push into these particular areas. What happens from right around here is going to determine, are we going to just get a quick push to the upside to take off these highs? Then, well, we just continue to align with the markets. But there's a very high chance that when we run into these particular areas, the markets might hesitate and then give us the rotation to the downside. Again, I'm personally keeping an eye at 17800 levels. These demands that we have in here, I believe it's strong, very, very strong. And from here, the markets can make a decision, whether we're going to continue to the upside or whether, we're going to be going to the downside. All right. So that is pretty much what I can see right now in the case of Euro Yen. All right. So that's it. Next up is going to be Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Now, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, this one obviously is actually moving in a better, you can see the swinging pattern. This market has pretty much, of the yen crosses so far, this market has been the one, giving us nice swinging patterns, as you can see here. Maybe we probably even have a trend line in here as well that is acting as a guide. And well, the market is pretty much sitting at that trend line right now. The question now is, well, we also have this demand zone in here. Okay, so again, will the market bounce from here, or are we going to get a rotation to the downside? So few possibilities: bounce for continuations to the upside, or will the market give us a break? Because again, you can see we've pierced below it. Who knows? The markets can open next week and we get a quick push to the upside before breaking this trend line and maybe into these areas just to widen the trend line for further continuations to the upside. All right, that is very, very possible. But again, this is an area that we can start looking for long opportunities, in all honesty. Okay, because again, look at the trend line: first bounce, second bounce, third bounce, but now it's getting weak, and you can see the markets is pretty much at that, sitting at that particular trend line right now. So this is one to keep an eye on. Like I said, the markets can easily from here give us a reversal, and then we can start seeing bullish continuations. So I won't be surprised if early next week this market gives me a nice bullish reaction off of this particular trend line. But again, what the market does in this particular area is going to be key in this particular chart. Okay, are we going to just get a push to the upside, to make a new high, or will the market respect these areas and then turn around to the downside, maybe to now give us a move towards, let's say, 10600 institutional level, from where maybe the bulls can start coming into this market for further continuations to the upside. Who knows? Only time will tell, but that is what I can see right now in Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Next up is going to be gold. All right, now for gold, as you can see here, obviously gold just pretty much dipped into this particular demand zone that we have right here on the weekly charts. That is what happened in gold. After we got this nice push to the upside, the BS came in, and you can see we tapped into this particular demand zone, and you can see how the market is reacting off of that particular demand zone. Now, if we take a look at the daily, we begin to even narrow things down. Okay, this is the area, okay, that the market's tapped into, and then from here you can see that, well, the bulls have come into these markets. Now, we've kind of remained above this particular demand zone area, but again, the market is slowly but surely getting to the upside. Okay, we're not really getting there in momentum. Now, course of action, pretty much again in the middle of nowhere, because again, you see this area that's been working as resistance. Okay, what I can see right now is also an area that the market's actually sold out from, which is this right here. Very, very possible that this markets from right around current market price can easily give us a rotation to the downside. If that happens, okay, that's a big if that happens, and the bulls and the bears come into this market to push these markets into this particular area, anywhere from right around here, in my own opinion, will be high quality areas to start searching for long opportunities for further continuations to the upside. That is if you're not already long in this particular market. I am not, so personally I would prefer to see this market give me that rotation to the downside into these areas, and then from here obviously I'll be going long in these markets for further continuations to the upside. Now, if that doesn't happen, and let's say the market just continues to push to the upside, breaking these particular levels that we have here, then I'll be looking for demand zones that form on the smaller time frames to start, going long in this particular instrument. Okay, all right, so that's pretty much it for gold. Not much. Again, like I said, yeah, the market is pretty much bound right now. You can see I have my alert sitting just above this level, and also above this particular zone that we have in this area. So let's see which one the market is going to get to first. Okay, if we break above to the upside, I'll look for demand zones that formed. If not, if the market pushes to the downside, I'm going to be going long from these particular areas. All right. Now, again, this is not financial advice. This is just what I'm going to be doing personally. Now, that's it. Now, next up is going to be silver. Silver, unlike gold, did not really give us that bullish move. Okay, you can see that, last week I was keeping an eye on this particular level. I wanted to see the markets take off this level. Okay, markets took it off this week. So in my own opinion, again, that is a nice move showing that the bulls are in these markets. But just like you can see here, we do have this particular supply area. Okay, in silver, markets tapped in, and you can see the reaction we are getting. So in my opinion, this is not a bad level to start searching for long opportunities, as long as you're just going to be affording stops below these particular areas. Okay, this is not a bad place to start searching for long opportunities. Okay, just look for opportunity to go along from here to see if you're going to get a nice push to the upside. In my opinion, that is not a bad one. All right, again, I'm not trading. This is Friday. If not, honestly, I would have been going long in silver right now, but let's see how it goes next week. Okay, I can still make that decision from an intraday perspective if this market continues to push to the upside. Okay, now in the event that let's say you're not so comfortable with that, another level I'm keeping an eye on is obviously these highs that we have here. If the market is to give me a push above that particular level, any demand zones that form in this chart, in my opinion, will be high quality to start searching for long opportunities for further continuations to the upside. That, in my opinion, is going to be the more conservative approach. All right, to wait for price to take off these particular highs that we have here before searching for long opportunities. Now, in the event that the bears come into this market and begin to push these markets to the downside, taking off these lows, then I will personally be keeping an eye in the demand zone that we have on the weekly, around that 52 and 50 level. Anywhere from there, guys, I will be looking for opportunities to go long in silver for further continuations to the upside. Okay, that is just me. That is just what I'm going to be doing. So let's see. But like I said, it is worth the risk, in my own opinion, from these particular areas. Just again, make sure you're keeping your risk managed. And again, this is just my what I'm going to be doing. Okay, this is not investment advice. Okay. and also it's not a financial advice. I just have to say that because I know a lot of people, may not just see it might just see this as an opportunity to just go click on the buy button. That is not what this is. Okay. All right, so that's it for silver. Let me see. Actually, let me just show you guys the demand zone that I'm saying on the weekly. As you can see here, this is the demand zone that that we have on the weekly. So if the market is to give us that push, let's say that we, for some reason, I expect this to work, but to push again to the upside from here. But if for some reason that doesn't happen, in all honesty, I would like to see, then let's say the markets give us that break. Oops, 1 second. Let's say the market gives us that break to the downside, taking off these lows. Then if that happens, this area, look at the price, 50. That is a very significant price in my opinion. So anywhere from 52, 50, 50, 51, that area, in my opinion, coinciding with this particular demand zone from where this buying started, then that is a nice area, in my opinion, to start searching for long opportunities for further continuations to the upside. All right, so that's pretty much it for silver. Next up is going to be the Bitcoin. Okay, that's actually the last one, but not the least, obviously. And like I told you guys, well, Bitcoin obviously is still in this particular monthly demand zone area. You can see the market tapped into that monthly demand zone area, testing 60K levels. And in my opinion, like I said, if you're looking at it from an investment perspective, this is an area for you to probably start looking for opportunities to add to your investment positions. Again, this is not financial advice. It's just what I'm going to do based on what I'm seeing on my charts. Now, from a trading perspective, obviously, like I pointed out last week, if you take a look at the daily charts, I told you that, well, there are a few areas to keep an eye on here. Obviously, we have this particular, will I say, supply zone area. This is the first one. And we also have another one in this particular area. Okay, so again, if market is still below these particular areas, in my own opinion, chances are that you might be just a little too early to the party, because again, the markets can tap in here and then give us a new low, taking off this previous swing low, okay? Or the markets can tap in here, give us a new push in here, boom, retesting these particular breakout levels, supply zone, boom, from here, the BS can still come in here, make new lows. So it would be wise, at least from a trading perspective, to wait for these supply zones to give way, all right? Let's say we get something of this nature, all right? Then maybe upon pullbacks, start looking for opportunities to go long, for further continuations to the upside. Okay, that is going to be my preferred course of action. Being that this is the monthly charts, obviously this is going to take some time to develop. Okay, that's something to keep in mind in this particular instrument. So, well, like I said, that's pretty much it, guys. Not much, obviously. Like I said, I'm going to be probably having more time to now take a look at my charts. If that happens, then chances are I'm going to be more active on the Discord channel. For those of you who are interested in the Discord channel, feel free to join. All right, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye bye.